He just looks to have really been in the gym, hardened up his body. On the menu and SEN have come together to dish up our favourite football feast, State of Origin. It's back. It's the Vicks taking on the All-Stars. Johnno, you're in good nick, ready to go?
Oh, I am super ready to go, Kane. I can see.
Never
I can
doubted
see.
it.
Good evening to you as well, mate. I can see the All-Stars team. I just a query. You being named captain of the All-Stars team. How did that come about from an All-Stars perspective? Did you have a group meeting?
I think I was the cheapest.
Because I'm sitting here, Kane, and I'm just wondering how Campbell Brown got the nod when you look at what's in the Vic team.
Correct.
How has this happened? Now,
So what you're saying to
I'm
me...
I'm the oldest player in the Vic's lineup, and I'm sitting there going to myself, I don't know whether I can align with a younger captain. I don't know where this sits at the moment.
Fair point.
For me personally.
And I'm looking at it going, you know what? Mark Bickley's in my team. The guy's a two-time premiership captain. So look. To be fair, I'm going to hand the reins over to Biggs.
No, you're not.
No, I am.
No. That's
it's
soft.
like when West Coast.
It's
like when Jaden Hunt played game number 150.
No.
And Oscar Allen goes, you know what, Jaden? It was against Melbourne at the MCG. You can go and toss the coin, and you can address the players. It's a milestone game. I'm going to say.
No, you are better than that.
No.
You are stronger
and
than
look,
that.
I don't even want to play.
Is this the one environment then where you actually are a bit more insular in your feel or standing?
I'm an introvert. Full stop. Some wouldn't think that is the case, but I am. So Bix can be the
the team. It's good, isn't it? The
captain.
teams are coming together. You've got Bix, Brad Green, Travis Varco, Daryl Wakeland named so far.
I'll tell you what. I didn't know Brad Green was in my team because he has been absolutely pounding me on social media lately, and not in a good way. So I don't know. I don't know.
There's disharmony already in the locker room.
Honestly, I wouldn't have picked him. I wouldn't have picked Brad Green, and he can start on the bench.
You think he's going to listen to you as skipper?
He can start on the bench, as far as I'm concerned. Gets stuffed.
Well, let me tell you, there's apart from me questioning the captaincy, of course. Other than that, everything is good from a Victorian point of view because we all get along really well, and I don't know a couple of them that well, so I look forward to playing with them. But Zaharakis, Harvey, what a legend. For Vola, of course, Joshy Jenkins and Benny Dixon has been named.
It's a good team
as well.
That's a
lot
good
of
team.
forwards. A lot of forwards.
Let's move on, and we'll get into your talking points from the week. And the fallout for the non-finalists has begun. But you, from a positive point of view, have looked at some of the star performers from the teams that aren't going to feature in September.
Yeah, I just thought we'd go through. And can I just say off the top as well, Kane, your interview with Zach Tuohy, I just want to throw it out there too. Congratulations to Zach Tuohy. Brilliant. I couldn't agree more with what you said and what his future looks like. He well and truly sits in the top 3 Irish players of all time to play the game. And it was actually interesting around his chat around where the Gaelic sits currently, because I remember going in 98 and 2000, and obviously 2000 had the new stadium over there, and it was unbelievable. And everyone was talking then, when is this game going to become professional? 24 years on, they're still an amateur sport.
So I think on that, wasn't he?
I think it's a strong question to ask as well for the future of the sport, which I actually love to watch. Moving on, I was looking at the bottom 9 clubs currently as they sit on the ladder, and I included Fremantle in this as well. I was just thinking who was going to take out who's the top 3 in their BnFs as we move into the next couple of weeks, because BnFs will happen very quickly. They'll come and go because they'll obviously get the players out of the club, and they'll be able to take their break and go on an extended period before things start to get serious once again. So for Richmond, and I'd love your opinion too, Cornsey, on where you think this sits, but for Richmond, I've gone with Vlosten to win it, Rioli second, Baker third.
I probably would have gone with Rioli. Richmond fans. So, I mean, I'm not going to argue. Vlosten, I thought his first half excellent and was spoken about as a strong All-Australian contender. I feel like he's dropped off somewhat, and I feel like Rioli has charged home, but I could be persuaded either way. And Baker's just been pretty solid, hasn't he?
Oh, he's been, of course. Those 3 have 2 could leave, so it makes it interesting too in how that sort of finishes up. If any of your teams come up too, jump on the text and let us know as well who you think will win your best and fairest this year for the teams that won't participate in the finals at this stage. North Melbourne, I've gone Sheasel to win it just over Tristan Cherry, and then LDU third, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see Tristan Cherry hold up the BnF at North Melbourne.
Yeah, no, I could make a case for both. Probably think Sheasel's been more. It just depends how the coaches vote. Often consistency is rewarded. Now Sheasel's been highly consistent, but also brilliant. So I actually think you've nailed that.
Yep. So West Coast Eagles, we'll move on to them. Jeremy McGovern.
Yep.
Then you got Jake Waterman, I think, and maybe Elliot Yeo. Third was sort of open a little bit, I think, at West Coast with so many players missing various parts of the season. But McGovern and Waterman seem.
I hope Waterman gets recognised because often those four, particularly in a poor side, like what he's done this year, amazing. Like just similar to Larky last year. And I hope that he's recognised at best and fairest level. Often forwards get overlooked in voting, in media awards, in sometimes, certainly coaches awards. Not always All-Australian, but then you could make a case for that as well. So I hope he's recognised. I think he's had a great year.
Definitely. The Adelaide Crows is an interesting watch, I think, on BnF night. So I've gone Dawson, then Keys, Saligo. But I think it's a tough one as well from an Adelaide Crows point of view on how this actually sits. Dawson, obviously, the midfield time and being led, obviously, is a vote getter from BnF perspective. Benny Keys, I'd love to see him hold it up. I think he's the one this year that is just ultimately, his performances have been really good, consistent, and he's the hardest worker. So I'd love to see him
Saligo's first, well, maybe not his first, but from, say, rounds 3 to 11 was
very good.
But he's just looked tired to me and just hasn't been able to, cope with probably the workload with his first season as a full-time inside midfield. He's not the biggest guy. So he'll definitely feature. Dawson's probably just been the most consistent and reliable. Rankin would have featured highly, but hasn't played enough football, and Keezer as well. Trying to think if there's anyone else. Like I think kind of like a Darcy Fogarty will poll well, but it won't be enough to get inside the top 3. He'll be top 10. So I think you're probably around the mark there as well.
Gold Coast, I think, will be the closest of the lot. I think there's so many players that will poll votes. I've gone Rao, Collins, and then Flanders, which I think is a big rise for Flanders. Anderson will be thereabouts, of course. But I think Rao is probably the one. He's probably, when you look through, his name's been in contention for the All-Australian squad for an aspect of it as well. So
I want to ask you about him a little bit later on in yes or no with Johnno and
Collins'
rating. If you listen to Champion Data, off the charts as well.
Richmond fans coming through saying that Nank is one that they think will poll quite well.
Don't know about the Nank.
All right, so the Sainers, Sinclair, Marshall, and Wilkie. Wilkie's always sort of the go-to, isn't he, in terms of
Battle?
Just consistent. Oh, Josh Battle, yes, actually. I would put Battle in front of Wilkie.
I think Wanganeen Miller is going to poll well as well.
And he will. So there you go. So there's two others that could certainly take it out, or they become right up there in the
which is a good sign. Which is a good. I think it's always a good. So if you go through the Premier every year, and probably the 10th place in the best and fairest of the Premier is good enough to win the best and fairest of a team that finishes bottom 4. That's probably the difference. So when you have multiple players, you go, okay, this person could win it. You go, that's a reasonable sign of the depth of our squad and the performance. Clearly, they've had some other issues, but yeah, I think you're right. I think there's 4 or 5 of the Saints that could win it.
Melbourne, Gawn, I think is the number one.
Yeah.
You go to Viney. Third is tough. I'll put McVie there. Suggestions around maybe Neil Bullen. Yes, exactly. But third's tough. So I think Gawn and Viney sum up 1 and 2 potentially.
How many has he got, Max? He's got, what's his 6 All-Australians or 7?
Oh, he's got how many something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the resume
it's just getting stronger and stronger, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as Horn, he's got 6. And as Horny said, this is his best year in 6 years as well. So
he's got 6 All-Australians and 2 best and fairest.
Yep. Okay. So it's pretty good resume that he's building, Maxi Gawn. For the Bombers, I've gone Merritt, and then I think it's a toss-up between Caldwell and Martin as 2 and 3.
Durham.
Yeah, Durham will be thereabouts, but I think the others, from a club point of view, I think sit just in front of front of Durham. And Caldwell does a great job on the opposition's best every week, and I think that will be rewarded internally.
There are, as you are speaking, there are some players that are going to really build on their unbelievable resumes. I'm looking at Merritt and how many. He's got 4. You start winning 5 best and fairest. Like we're talking rare air sort of stuff here. Like I reckon 4. I'm not sure how many players have won 4, but there'd be a number of players that have won 4 best and fairest. Not many have won 5. And so Zorko, when we get to Brisbane, he could win 6.
Yep.
You mentioned Gawn and the potential of him adding a 7th All-Australian blazer to his closet and a 3rd best and fairest. So we're starting to really build some Hall of Fame level, clearly, type resumes here for Zach Merritt.
So Adelaide Crows, a fan has texted in saying Mark Kane as a Smoky.
Yeah, Smoky. Top 7, I reckon. No, I don't think we're talking top 3.
I think defensively, though, he's been very, very solid throughout the
think,
entire year.
I think Michael
And you kind of
think,
think,
another good one pretty well as well.
Like that.
Recognised.
Yep, really, really like that. So the Pies, where I've gone Dacos, Darcy Cameron, and then Crisp.
Yeah, the two standouts, the Ruckman and Dacos for me. And
Josh Dacos may pinch a third.
Come home late, throw a blanket over another 4 or 5 names, but they're the two standouts at Collingwood.
And the final one being Freo, just because they're considered out of the finals at the moment. Sarong, Young, and then Luke Ryan. Josh Tracy may get some votes.
Yep, and Brayshaw's
as well.
Brayshaw's last month has been
unbelievable. Yeah, you're right. Since he had 41, when he had 41, he's exploded from that point as well. So they're who I think will finish in the top 3 of the bottom 9 at the moment. As teams get eliminated, then we'll talk about those over the next few weeks.
I know there's potentially 3 games left for Sydney. Who's leading Sydney's best and fairest right now? Is it Heaney?
Yes,
or is it Heaney?
It's Heaney. I think Heaney has steadied the ship over the last few weeks to take that. He'll take that prize, and obviously it comes down to finals as well. They could have 3 finals, which is, obviously could make or break a best and fairest.
Mark Williams always thought that you should get. Well, I think he thought this. Or he
would Gordon be close to Heaney internally?
Gordon's been consistent. Just plays well pretty much every week. But I remember having a discussion with Choco about this. He sort of said, I think finals should be double best and fairest votes. Because that's where your reputation is built. So why should a round 4 Sunday afternoon game against the Gold Coast Suns, best and fairest votes, count the same as a prelim final in front of 95,000 at the MCG? Makes a reasonable point, don't you?
It does.
Every club does best and fairest votes differently.
No, but I think when you do have a significant final series and they do give you the best finals player on best and fairest night,
means something.
I think that means a fair bit for the player that achieves that, because you're right. That's performing consistently in the biggest games of the year to try and get your club either that premiership or to a prelim final, whatever it looks like. And generally it is prelim and grand final where clubs stand up and give best finals performer at that point.
You want to speak about Joe Richards?
Well, I wanted to ask you about Joe Richards actually being close to home at Port Adelaide, and the fact that the word is that they are throwing a 4-year deal at an 8-gamer. Kane. Now, I would love your reaction to this, please. How is your club offering a 4-year deal to a man that has played 8 games? Now, I see the upside in Joe Richards. I actually love Joe Richards and the way that he plays his footy. And yes, it's a small sample size, but you can see him and you go, you know what? There's something about what this guy can offer over the next couple of years in the game. I totally believe in that. But a 4-year deal for an 8-gamer?
Bonkers. Like madness. I think
you don't need that much to draw him out of a club. 3's max here.
What, 2?
3 is max. He's probably going to get offered 2 from his club, so give him 3. And you're a chance.
I lost my mind when I read late last year, that Gold Coast had given Joel Jeffrey a 4-year contract extension. And I was like, hang on. Joel Jeffrey, yep. I saw him kick, I think it was 5 goals in a game. I can see the talent, but 4 years for a player who at that stage had probably played 18 games.
Yep.
And I lost my mind. So I'm going to do the same over Joe Richards. 4 years for that. And it gets worse. Like I thought the contract situation.
We know contracts are based on potential, mate. We see you see a glimmer and you go, okay, bang. We experienced that.
And I guess
we were given contracts early as a fact of where you're going, your potential, and where the club can see you at. We understand that side of it, but 8 games in, it's just a different dynamic.
I hadn't even read that, Johnno.
I thought you would have been said that for
blissfully unaware of that report until you've just brought it to my attention. So I need some time to digest it.
Okay.
I guess they're saying, well, we're not going to pay him a whole lot. Worst case, he's going to be a very good sample player for us in the Magpies. That's just me trying to come up with a ridiculous defence of my own club. In the end, I think it's ludicrous.
My thinking around a couple of players.
Are we rolling or are we locked?
Well, it's not locked yet.
Okay.
But it's close to being locked in my mind. I don't think it's going to change too much. There could be one or two players that jump in or jump out of this. Now, I had my conversation in my own thought process was around Whitfield versus Houston. So I've stuck with Whitfield, and I think with Dan Houston now, unfortunately, I think I think he
that's
misses.
cost him.
I think it's cost him.
You think the
Yeah,
thuggery?
I think it'll be an interesting.
You think the thuggery has cost him?
I think it'll be an interesting discussion
It's not a
you have next week.
Prerequisite
Kane.
of being an
It's
All-Australian.
not a prerequisite,
No.
but if you're looking at two players that you go Whitfield versus Houston, I'm sticking with Whitfield
All right,
now.
it's your team.
So I've got Andrews and then I've got Luke Ryan across the back line. Dane Zorko, I think, is the best halfback in the comp, has been consistently all year. McGovern at centre half back. And it wouldn't surprise me if his name gets sort of thrown around for captaincy as well, McGovern, with what he has been able to produce all year from a West Coast Eagles point of view and his experience in the game. Nick Blakey is at half back. I think he's one that has been super consistent all year. So from a backline point of view, I can't see that changing this week. And I think that's what I'll lock away come the end of for next Wednesday as well. Goulden, Cripps, and the other second wingman's got me. I don't know what to do here, Cornsey. I honestly don't. I've got Zach Merritt out there at the moment. He could be one that is out of the side next week. It could be one that remains there, or could go to a bench and I throw someone else out there. But that second wing spot, and I know I'll get thrown. D'Ambrosio, and D'Ambrosio's not in the All-Australian team this year. He's had an excellent year, but he's just not there yet. So I'm not going to throw him in there. Josh Dacos has dropped off. He's come back a little bit, but he's not there. So it is going to be a midfielder, I think, that has to be pushed out to a wing. Now, which midfielder is that? Is what I'm still wrestling with. That
the most capable of successfully playing the wing position.
Yep.
Is the question you're asking yourself.
That's right.
Yep.
Because when I go to my bench, I look at them and I go, well, they're all. Heaney's got some outside run who could definitely flow
Done it a little bit
his position
before,
out there.
yeah.
But outside of that, my bench is, and I'll jump to the bench just quickly for the conversation, is Neil, Sarong and Treloar as well. And you can't push any of those, I don't think, to the wing. So that's the one that I'm still having a close look at and just thinking about what can actually work best for that position. Half forward, I've got Dylan Moore, and it's a huge year for Dylan Moore. It really is, and I hope he finishes off with another big game against the Kangaroos. He's been excellent. His approach to the contest, I've loved his work all year, and it's been good to have him in this side for quite some time now.
Yeah,
he's been an excellent performer and really continued to stand up as Hawthorn have grown as a team. Got Jeremy Cameron at centre half forward, and I think he's one who can cash in this week, Cornsey, Jeremy Cameron.
No Barras, no McGovern.
No McGovern, look out. This could be anything. I think it's him and himself and Stengel, who I've got in a forward pocket, could kick 6 between them this week. I mean, kick 12 between them. So, or Jeremy Cameron could have an absolute huge day out. I've got Chad Warner at half forward. Still got Charlie Curnow in the forward pocket. Hogan at full forward, Stengel in the forward pocket. And then my ruck is Cherry still. And I know it's Cherry versus Gawn. I get that. And then it could go either way. And then Dacos and Bont round out the midfield.
So who needs a big week this week? Last round.
I think
24.
Tristan Cherry needs a huge one this week. I really do, to stay in my side. So do a couple of the forwards, Jeremy Cameron being one of them.